Level 1. The recruit. The door closes behind you. No windows, no clocks. Just a metal table and a man who never gives you his name. He slides a thin folder across the table. Your file. Every job you've ever had, every debt, every mistake. Even the fight you had in a bar 3 years ago in Arlington that you thought nobody noticed. He knows everything. You want to serve your country, he says calmly. You nod. He studies you for a long moment. Then he closes the file. No, he says. You want purpose. The room goes quiet. That's the first lesson. They already know who you are before you do. 3 months later, you're standing in a windless facility in Northern Virginia at 5:12 a.m. Concrete floors, fluorescent lights, no signs on the doors. Everyone calls it the farm, even though that's not the real name. You're not CIA yet, not really. You're a candidate. Your day begins with a 12-mile run through wet woods. No phones, no music, just breath and mud. Then weapons drills. Then surveillance detection routes through downtown D.C. Then language training. Then psychological evaluation. Every mistake is recorded. Every hesitation noted. You learn the first rule of black operations quickly. You do not exist. Your social media disappears. Your old friends slowly stop hearing from you. Your parents think you're working in government consulting. You sign documents acknowledging that if something goes wrong overseas, the United States will deny you completely. No rescue, no headlines, no flag-draped coffin. Just silence. You tell yourself it's worth it. At night, lying in a government dorm with thin blankets and a buzzing light overhead, you repeat the same sentence in your head. You're doing something important. But deep down, another thought creeps in. If they can erase you this easily, what else can they do? 6 months in, they give you your first real assignment. Nothing dramatic. You're watching a man, a mid-level weapons broker visiting New York from Eastern Europe. Your job is simple. Follow him. Photograph who he meets. Never be seen. You sit in a coffee shop across from his hotel for 9 hours straight. Your coffee goes cold. Your legs cramp. But you don't move. You learn something important that day. Black operations are mostly waiting. Waiting to see who walks through a door. Waiting to see who makes a call. Waiting for someone else to make a mistake. At 9:47 p.m., the broker meets someone unexpected. A U.S. defense contractor. You photograph the handshake. Upload the images. Within hours, men far above you start making decisions. You never hear what happens to the contractor. You're not supposed to. You're level 1. You observe, you report, you stay invisible. But something changes. You realize information is power, and you just touched the smallest piece of it.
Level 2. The field officer. The first time you carry a gun overseas, nobody makes a big deal about it. You're sitting in a cramped CIA safe house in Istanbul. A Glock 19 sits on the table, unregistered, untraceable. Next to it is a passport with a different name, different birthplace, different life. You flip through it slowly. New identity, new rules. At level 2, you stop watching the game. You start playing it. Your job now is recruitment, assets, people with access, people with secrets, people willing to sell both. Your first target is a telecommunications engineer working for a government ministry. He controls routing data for international fiber lines. Not glamorous, but extremely useful. You meet him in a quiet restaurant near the Bosphorus. You don't threaten him. You don't bribe him immediately. First, you listen. You learn about his divorce, his gambling debts, his resentment toward his bosses. Everyone has pressure points. You just have to find them. 2 meetings later, you slide a small envelope across the table. $8,000. His hands shake slightly as he takes it. That's just appreciation, you tell him. The real payments come later. Over the next year, he sends you encrypted files twice a month, call metadata, routing logs, traffic patterns, things most people would never understand. But somewhere in Washington, analysts build entire intelligence pictures from that data. You get promoted quietly. No ceremony, just a message from headquarters. Continue operations. You feel proud, but something inside shifts. Because the engineer isn't just an asset. He's a man whose life you've slowly turned into a trap. If he stops working for you, his own government will arrest him. If he keeps working for you, eventually someone will notice. Either way, you walk away. You learn the second rule of black operations. People are tools, and tools break. Level 3, the operator. The mission brief is 5 sentences long. Target, mid-level arms financier. Location, Tripoli. Objective, disrupt funding network. No details about how. That's your job now. You're not just running assets anymore. You're running operations. You arrive in Libya under a European NGO cover. Humanitarian Logistics Coordinator. You even have business cards. The target moves money from multiple militia groups. Cash couriers, shell companies, crypto wallets. Your job is not to arrest him. Your job is to collapse the network quietly. You start small. A shipment disappears. A courier gets arrested by local police after an anonymous tip. A bank account freezes after suspicious activity flags. None of it traces back to you. But within weeks, paranoia spreads inside the network. People start accusing each other. Money stops moving. That's the art of black operations. You don't punch the system. You make it punch itself. One night, your local asset sends a message. The financier knows someone is interfering. He's investigating. That's dangerous. Your supervisor sends a simple instruction. Neutralize exposure risk. You sit in the safe house, staring at the message. You understand what it means. It doesn't necessarily mean killing him, but it could. You think about the engineer in Istanbul. You think about the courier you got arrested. You think about how easily lives shift when you push the right pressure point. Then you make the call. You leak evidence to a rival militia leader that the financier has been skimming money. 3 days later, the financier disappears. Nobody asks questions. Your network stays safe. You tell yourself you didn't kill him, but you know the truth. You just moved the pieces. Someone else pulled the trigger. And that distinction starts feeling smaller every day.
Level 4, the case officer. Your phone rings at 2:13 a.m. Unknown number. You answer immediately. Your asset in Prague is compromised. You're awake instantly. Level 4 is where things become personal. You don't run operations anymore. You run people who run operations. And when something goes wrong, it's your responsibility. The asset is a financial compliance officer inside a major European bank. He's been quietly flagging suspicious transfers tied to Russian intelligence networks for 3 years. Now someone inside the bank is asking questions. You fly to Prague within 12 hours. Your meeting takes place in an underground parking garage. Cold air, concrete echo. Your asset looks terrified. "They're auditing my department," he whispers. You run numbers quickly in your head. Extraction is possible, but expensive and risky. Headquarters doesn't like pulling assets unless absolutely necessary. You send a secure message. Response comes back 1 hour later.
Continue operation. No extraction. Translation, he's expendable. You sit with him for nearly an hour explaining new procedures, how to hide the data trails, how to slow the auditors, how to bide time. When the meeting ends, he grabs your arm. If they catch me. He doesn't finish the sentence. You know exactly what happens. Prison, or worse. You look him in the eye and say the words every case officer learns. You're doing the right thing. He nods, but both of you know the truth. He's doing the dangerous thing, and you're the one who convinced him to keep doing it. That night in your hotel room, you pour 2 glasses of whiskey. You drink both. Level 5. The Senior Operator. The room in Langley has no windows, just a long table and a digital map covering the wall. Red dots across 3 continents. Each one is an operation. Each one is a risk. At level 5, you stop thinking in individuals. You think in networks. You're coordinating teams now. Operators in Africa, analysts in Virginia, cyber specialists in Maryland. One decision from you can trigger 10 actions around the world. Today's problem is a cartel route moving synthetic opioids through West Africa. The money is funding terrorist groups. Stopping it requires cooperation between agencies that don't trust each other. You orchestrate the solution. A financial seizure in Panama, a cyber attack on logistics software, a controlled leak to a corrupt customs official. Within 2 weeks, the route collapses. Millions of dollars vanish. The terrorist group loses funding. On paper, it's a success, but the reports start coming in. A local informant killed. 2 arrests that weren't supposed to happen. Collateral damage. You read the files silently. You used to feel those things. Now you file them under operational cost. That realization scares you more than anything.
Level 6. The Director of Covert Programs. You don't travel much anymore. You sit in secure rooms with senior officials and brief people who appear on television every night, pretending they know everything. They don't. You do. At level 6, you control entire covert programs. Black budgets, hundreds of millions of dollars, operations that Congress barely understands. You approve missions that change governments. You authorize cyber sabotage. You sign off on targeted eliminations. Every decision passes through layers of legal language and plausible deniability, but at the end of the chain, it's your signature. You sleep less, not from guilt, from calculation. Every decision creates consequences that ripple across countries, and if something goes wrong, no one will publicly acknowledge you exist.
Level 7. The Shadow Architect. Your name is known inside the agency now. Not publicly, never publicly, but inside classified corridors, people say it carefully. You're the one who designed 3 major covert strategies that reshaped entire regions. You rarely give direct orders. You designed systems, influence campaigns, economic pressure loops, political destabilization frameworks. Other officers execute them. You watch patterns unfold from quiet offices. The strange part is how calm it feels. You used to operate in alleyways and parking garages. Now wars shift because of meetings you attend. Sometimes you wonder how many lives moved because of one sentence you said in a briefing room. You stop counting. Level 8. The Ghost. No official title. No office nameplate. Just a small room in Langley with a secure terminal and 2 assistants who never ask questions. You've been in the system for 28 years. You know secrets that will never be declassified. Operations that never officially existed. People who disappeared because the machine required it. At this level, power becomes quiet. You rarely speak in meetings, but when you do, the room listens, because everyone knows you've seen the entire system from the inside. You built parts of it, you broke parts of it, and you survived. Late one night, you walk past the training wing. New recruits are running drills in the rain, young, focused, hungry. One of them reminds you of yourself, back when everything felt simple, back when you believed the mission was clean. You stop watching after a minute, because you know where the path leads. Somewhere in that group, a new recruit is just starting. He thinks he understands the game. He doesn't, but he will.